Good afternoon, 4th grade. Today we are going to continue reading in our novel, James and the Giant Peach. Before we get started, we have a quick write. It says, think about a time when something strange happened to you. What happened and why was it strange? Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the focus question. Our focus question for today is how do some very peculiar events lead to even more peculiar events? Our standard that we're going to be working with today is being able to describe in depth a peculiar event and write a summary of the important events in the text. Our vocabulary words today are peculiar, which means strange or odd. This picture is peculiar because the child is reading underwater. That is strange because the book would get wet. The next word is scatter, and that's when you throw something and it goes in all sorts of random directions. The man threw the papers in the air and he scattered them on the floor. And then the last one is swelling, and that's when part of your body gets abnormally larger, like it's not supposed to. Or it could be talking about fruit. When fruit is ready to be picked, it swells, just like this peach. All right, turn in your book to Chapter 3. And we're going to be reading chapters 3 and 4 today using our CSPS strategy. Let's get ready to read on page 8. It was at this point that the first thing of all, the rather peculiar thing that led to so many much more peculiar things happened to him. All right, and this is when James is outside playing in the yard, and his aunts threatened to beat him, and he ran away and cried. Okay, and now something is about to happen. For suddenly, just behind him, James heard a rustling of leaves, and he turned around and saw an old man in a crazy dark green suit emerging from the bushes. He was a very small old man, but he had a huge bald head and a face that was covered all over with bristly black whiskers. He stopped when he was about 3 yards away, and he stood there leaning on his stick, staring hard at James. When he spoke, his voice was very slow and creaky. "Come closer to me, boy," he said, beckoning to James with a finger. "Come right up close to me, and I will show you something wonderful." James was too frightened to move. The old man hobbled a step or two nearer, and then he put a hand into the pocket of his jacket and took out a small white paper bag. We'll stop right there because we have information about the setting. Go to box 2. In box 2, you would write, while James was hiding in the bushes, a little old man approached him. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we will write down this sentence on page 8. James heard a rustling of the leaves, and he turned around and saw an old man in a crazy green suit emerging from the bushes. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. And we're going to keep reading for more information about this old man and more information about how James responds. Bottom of page 9. "You see this?" he whispered, waving the bag gently to and fro in front of James' face. "You know what this is, my dear? You know what's inside this little bag?" Then he came nearer still, leaning forward and pushing his face so close to James that James could feel breath blowing on his cheeks. The breath smelled musty and stale and slightly mildewed, like air in an old cellar. "Take a look, my dear," he said, opening the bag and tilting it toward James. Inside it, James could see a mass of tiny green things that looked like little stones or crystals, each one about the size of a grain of rice. They were extraordinarily beautiful, and there was a strange brightness to them, a sort of luminous quality that made them glow and sparkle in the most wonderful way. "Listen to them," the old man whispered. "Listen to them move." James stared into the bag, and sure enough, there was a faint rustling sound coming from inside it, and then he noticed that all the thousands of little green things were slowly, very slowly, stirring about and moving over each other as though they were alive. "There's more power and magic in those things than there in all the rest of the world put together," the old man said softly. But what are they?" James murmured, finding his voice at last. "Where did they come from?" "Aha!" the old man whispered. "You never guessed that." He was crouching a little now, and pushing his face still closer and closer to James until the tip of his long nose was actually touching the skin on James' forehead. Then suddenly he jumped back and began waving his stick madly in the air. "Crocodile tongues!" he cried. 1,000 long, slimy crocodile tongues. Top of the page. "Boiled up in the skull of a dead witch for 20 days and nights with the eyeballs of a lizard. Add the finger of a young monkey, the gizzard of a pig, the beak of a green parrot, the juice of a porcupine, and 3 spoonfuls of sugar. Stew it for another week, and then let the moon do the rest." All at once, he pushed the white paper bag into James' hands and said, "Here, take it. It's yours." We'll stop right there because we have information about our character. In box 1, you would write, "The old man gave James a bag full of crocodile tongues that he said were magic." Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And we'll write down this last sentence in chapter 3. All at once he pushed the white paper bag into James' hands and said, "Here, you take it, it's yours." Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready to keep reading. We're at chapter 4 and we're looking for James's problem. He's just been given this bag of magical crocodile tongues by a strange old man. James Henry Trotter stood there clutching the bag and staring at the old man. "And now," the old man said, "all you've got to do is this. Take a large jug of water and pour all the little green things into it. Then, very slowly, one by one, add 10 hairs from your own head. That sets them off. That gets them going. In a couple of minutes, the water will begin to froth and bubble furiously. And as soon as that happens, you must quickly drink it all down, the whole jugful, in one gulp. And then, my dear, you will feel it churning and boiling in your stomach, and steam will start coming out your mouth. And immediately after that, marvelous things will start happening to you. Fabulous, unbelievable things. And you will never be miserable again in your life. Because you are miserable, aren't you? You needn't tell me. I know all about it. Now you go and do exactly as I say, and don't whisper a word of this to any of those 2 horrible aunts of yours. Not a word. And don't let those green things in there get away from you either, because if they do escape, then they will be working their magic upon anybody else instead upon you. And that's not what we want, is it, my dear? Whoever they meet first, be it a bug, insect, animal, or tree, that will be the one that gets the full power of their magic. So, hold the bag tight. Don't tear the paper. Off you go. Hurry up. Don't wait. Now's the time. Hurry." With that, the old man turned away and disappeared into the bushes. Stop right there because we know a little bit more about James's problem. In box 3, we will write, the old man can tell that James is miserable, which is why he gave James the magic beans. Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. And for the quote, we will write down this quote on page 11, where the old man says, "Because you are miserable, aren't you? You needn't tell me." Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the solution. And for the solution, we will write down what the old man tells James. He tells James to be very careful with the bag. In box 4A, you would write, "The old man warns James not to drop the bag or give it to anyone, because whoever the beans come in contact with first get their magic." Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the quote. It says, "Whoever they meet first, be it a bug, insect, animal, or tree, that will be the one who gets the full power of their magic." Press pause to write down your answer and play when you're ready for the paragraph. And for the paragraph, it says, "How does James respond to challenge? What does his response reveal about his character?" And in these two chapters, James's challenge is that he is miserable and he has to decide if he's going to listen to this old man. And we know that James takes the bag from the old man, and that lets us know that he doesn't want to be miserable anymore. He is looking for a way to escape.